Frank Turner's with us. Hello, Frank Turner.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. Lovely to talk to you again. They played that music because I was so busy this morning. I wanted to pick a piece of music to play by one of those bands that you love, like Dead Skeletons, Squeezing Pimples, or whatever they're called.
Yes.
Those wonderful
My
bands.
favourite band.
Those wonderful bands that you like. Now, Frank, tell us about... you were part of the government-endorsed pilot scheme. The government announced a couple of weeks ago that they were going to try and get the entertainment industry moving again. And you were chosen to be the representative of the music industry, and you played the gig, the socially distanced gig at the Clapham Grand. You did it on Tuesday, got in just in time, because the other things that were planned, like the thing up in Brent Park where they're doing Sleepless, the movie, the musical, they've been moved back a couple of weeks. Tell us about the gig.
Well, so as you mentioned, like we were sort of asked to do it as part of this sort of pilot scheme thing. And there was quite a lot kind of amiss with the model going into it. But we decided that sort of speaking as an industry, it's like it's better to say yes and to try than to turn around and go, no, I'm not going to do anything. So, you know, we got asked to do it. We thought we'd give it a go. My friends run the Clapham Grand. They're old friends of mine. And we did the show, as in, you know, in terms of me walking onto a stage and playing to an audience, it was a dream. It was absolutely amazing. I've missed it like you wouldn't believe. I wasn't playing to the back of my phone anymore. I've been doing lots of live stream concerts and all the rest of it. And I think the audience enjoyed it and we got an atmosphere going. But there were a lot of restrictions around the show. Social distancing, there was track and trace, there was staggered arrival times. The tightest one for me is the audience were not allowed to sing along because of aerosol dispersion or whatever, and that was quite tough for me because that's quite a big part of what I try and encourage at my shows usually. We did get told after the event that we were the best pilot in terms of health restrictions and that kind of thing, so that was quite nice. And then of course the major problem with it was that financially it doesn't make any sense. We had 180 people in a venue built for 1,200. We had twice the number of staff you'd have for a sold-out 1,200 capacity show. I didn't get paid. There was no advertising spend, and the venue still lost money overall. So it was worth doing to kind of test the limits as they stood at that time, but it's not the model for us to move forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I understand why they did it, and it's an honourable thing, but straight away, I mean, Ali Wolf, manager of the Grand, you know, his quote was, with the Grand being unable to trade since March 15, 50 grand of monthly rent still being paid. Obviously, they were happy to do this, but it simply doesn't work. It was a great gig. Everyone enjoyed it, but there's no money there at all.
Absolutely. But the thing is, we wouldn't know that, or at least we wouldn't have the data to prove that if we hadn't done a gig. If we responded to the government and just said, no, it's probably not going to work, and therefore we refuse to try, then the government could quite happily turn around and kind of go, well, you don't need more help, or there's no more to be done on this level. So, and the other thing is, you know, we wanted to demonstrate both to the world and to the government as well that, you know, we're not sticking the muds. We're trying to break the logjam. We're trying to be cooperative and helpful, and also to demonstrate that people could come to a show and obey the regulations as currently laid out, which we did very successfully. And, you know, there was a lot of magic in the evening. There really was. But, you know, the idea at the time was that, you know, by doing this, we sort of demonstrate what the good and the bad of the whole thing was, and that hopefully, therefore, we could move forward. Of course, in the last couple of days, we've had the announcement from the governments about how they're actually going to put the brakes on everything that's happening. That's very disappointing. Of course, there's medical reasons for that, and I'm not going to, you know, obviously it's most important that we keep people safe, that we don't spread the disease and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's been a slightly trying couple of days, shall we say?
Yeah, it has been. We don't do politics on this show. We don't look at the political angle. Why I like talking to people like you is that, listen, there are reasons for what's happening. There's been huge mistakes that have been made, and we'll deal with them as and when the time comes. But what's annoyed me slightly when they've done this and they've done the postponement, I work on our sister station, which is a sports radio station, and they've cancelled the sports pilot events at the darts and at the horse racing, and people are going, you know, mad about it. This is always going to be baby steps.
Absolutely. I think it's important for all of us to recognise that you know, this has never happened before in our lifetimes, and the idea that any government anywhere in the world is going to get it absolutely right from the word go is madness. It's there's always going to be mistakes. There's going to be steps forward and steps backward and all that kind of thing. I appreciate what you're saying about politics. I don't want to get too far into it. There's definitely been some pretty trying moments with some of the hoops that we've had to jump through. Not because we've got to jump through hoops per se, but there's moments when you get people who are essentially trying to legislate for an industry about which they appear to have never even heard or whatever, and that can be pretty frustrating for an industry that's full of quite people with a lot of expertise that understand all the ins and outs of putting on a show and all the rest of it, and then you get somebody who's got no idea what you're talking about comes up with a mad suggestion. But I think it's really important for us to, as I say, to sort of try and play along and try and sort of be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Do you know what I mean?
As my grandfather always used to say in these, is that you're much better off inside the tent rather than outside the tent. And,
I think I know what the other half.
That phrase, I suddenly realised I wasn't going to be able to say.
You weren't going to say that, yeah. No, but absolutely. It's as I say, the alternative is to just sort of be rejectionist, and that doesn't really seem like it's a sensible way forward. I think that one of the things is everybody. And it's funny how we've forgotten this. Everybody thought at the beginning of lockdown that we were talking about a few weeks, maybe months. Do you know what I mean? And I think that it's been a slow and painful realization in my industry and in many others as well that what we're looking at here is probably going to be counted in years more than it is in weeks or months. And that, intensifies the issue and raises a lot more problems and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you can't really solve a problem unless you're looking at it straight in the face. So in a way, it's good that we are coming to this realization that that's what we're facing now.
Let's say that there's no big live gigs until next year. What are the other avenues? I mean, Zoom and that kind of thing. And if you've got the equipment, you can record, you can release stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of live streaming has been going on. I think that the thing that's happening right now is people are starting to get interested in better quality live streams. At the beginning, and I did this myself, it was a lot of people sitting in their bedrooms playing to the back of their phones. And, that filled a gap at the time. But we do have, collectively, there's the technology and all the rest of it to do some slightly higher quality shows. I'm doing one myself, actually, a week tomorrow, August the 9th. It's a full band live stream. We've got my band, we've got 5 cameras, socially distanced, but we've got the lighting team are in and it's going to look exciting and sound good and all this kind of thing. Beyond that, we are an industry of triers and people have been talking about drive-in shows. That didn't work. I've done the pilot that I've done. People are talking about possibly doing some kind of camping events. There's lots of different ideas floating around. But as you say, it's going to be baby steps. It's going to be a case of trial and error, and we're going to see what works and what doesn't.
Frank Turner, it's always a great pleasure to talk to you. Whenever I think of you, I think passionate, vulnerable, ferocious, benevolent.
Well, what a joy that it's written on my T-shirt right now.
It's the first time for 5 months I've been able to see a guest, Frank. That's why. I'm getting overexcited. Mate, it's lovely to talk to you. And next time you're gigging on Playing Live or Zooming, let us know and we'll play some of it. Lovely to talk to you.